Lady buys a mirror as a birthday gift, but never imagined that it would make her predict the future. What she sees her boyfriend doing and the truth behind it all would change her life forever. It was a beautiful day in Namsan Park, Seoul, South Korea. The sun was starting to set, tinging the sky of orange and pink tones, creating a magical and romantic atmosphere. The trees, with their leaves falling gently, completed the perfect setting for Minji and June. The park was full of couples walking, enjoying the beauty of the moment. For Minji, that was a special day. It had been 2 years that she was dating the man, besides being her birthday. As they walked hand in hand, June gently passed his hand through her hair, a gentle and affectionate touch that she loved so much. The light wind made the leaves dance around them, and the soft sound of nature seemed to be the perfect soundtrack for that moment. But the lady was frustrated.
But love, it's been 2 years. I think we can already advance more in the relationship,
she said, with a tone of hope in her voice. Minji was referring to the fact that they are not yet engaged. This upset her, because she was already 27 years old, and all her friends were going on with their lives, getting married and having children, while she was still in the same situation. The social and personal pressure weighed on her heart. June buff, not of anger, but with a feeling of impatience.
We're not everyone, honey. We have to go at our own pace, and I want to make a proposal and a fancy ceremony the way you deserve.
I don't care about that, June. I just want to be with you.
The girlfriend insisted, with her eyes full of sincerity. She did not dream of something huge, only something intimate that could represent their love. The lovebirds kept walking and talking, but Minji's frustration grew. Could not understand what still prevented her beloved to take another step in the relationship. Both had their jobs and were well off, so there was no apparent reason for his hesitation. Uncertainty corroded her from within, and every word seemed to increase her discouragement. Suddenly, June's phone rang. He looked at the screen and his expression changed.
I have to go, baby,
said, with a hasty tone.
What do you mean, out of nowhere? What is it?
She asked, surprised by the sudden change of plans.
It's an emergency at work,
June answered quickly, as he was already preparing to leave. As a doctor, these situations were common for June, but at that moment it seemed an especially hard blow to Minji. She saw him rushing away, leaving her alone in the park with confused thoughts and feelings. The poor girl stood for a moment, watching her boyfriend disappear in the distance. Frustration and sadness mixed in her heart, making that special day in a bittersweet mix of emotions. Minji was upset because these situations happened often, but she tried to understand, knowing that it was because of his work.
At least he's saving lives.
Trying to console herself. Still, the sadness persisted. He hadn't even given her a birthday gift. Many things passed through the mind of the girl as she walked alone in the park. June never introduced her to his parents or friends. Minji wanted to be part of the beloved's life, but tried to settle for the idea that he was a busy doctor who had almost no time for anything. The woman left the park and walked through the streets of Seoul, still a little down. The sky was already darkening as the city lights began to light and people around rushed past, immersed in their own lives, not realizing Minji's sadness. She was tired of not having the beautiful and romantic relationship that she always dreamed of. Each step she took seemed to weigh more, carrying the disappointment and unfulfilled desire.
Oh, he didn't even remember it was my birthday,
murmured to herself, with the pain evident in her voice. Minji hoped that June would take her somewhere romantic to celebrate. However, he only agreed to meet because she insisted on celebrating the 2-year anniversary in the same park where they met. As she walked through the busy streets, the young lady looked at shop windows, people coming in and out of cafes and restaurants, laughing and talking. The feeling of loneliness increased. She wanted to be part of these happy scenes. She wanted to feel complete and loved. Her thoughts wandered between the memories of the good times with June and the frustrating reality of their current relationship. Suddenly, something caught her attention. Minji realized she was in front of an antique shop. It was a place she had never noticed before. Maybe it was new.
Cute.
The facade was charming with elegant signs and decorated windows. However, something in the window caught her attention. A beautiful mirror with an ornate and beautiful frame. The object had an old and mysterious air, which seemed to call for her. Still upset, the young woman decided to enter the store. That smell of old wood and a slight scent of incense gave the place an almost magical atmosphere, but she was focused on the mirror that ended up buying.
Happy birthday to me.
She whispered, half sad, looking at the object. Minji went home, carrying the shopping bag carefully, and as she entered her small apartment, she threw herself into bed, exhausted and discouraged. The mirror was beside her, reflecting softly in the light of the room, but the woman could never imagine what that simple object, chosen as a gift for herself, could do in her life. She took the framed object and kept looking at it, seeing herself and feeling bad.
How I'm dumb. He's there helping people and I'm pressing him to get married.
Reflected her, dissatisfied with her own thoughts. Her reflection showed a sad and discouraged young woman, although her heart said she needed to be happy with what she had. Then the lady uttered something that changed everything.
Oh, June, how I wanted to see you now.
At that moment, the mirror began to shine brightly. Minji jumped up and dropped the object on the bed, which continued to emit an almost magical glow. After a few seconds, with her heart beating fast, she barely knew she was about to see something even more unbelievable.
What is that?
She widened her eyes, surprised, approaching slowly. In the mirror, there was the image of her boyfriend, but it wasn't just that. He was snuggled up on the couch with another woman.
What?
Minji couldn't understand how she was seeing that. Confusion dominated her as she watched June caressing the woman's hair. The scene was intimate and painful. The young woman rubbed her eyes, but still seeing those images in the mirror. The woman then got up and went to the kitchen, and at that moment, very quickly June took the phone. Minji, not believing what she saw, managed to read the message that he wrote.
Sorry, love. I won't be able to leave work today. We won't be able to see each other.
He wrote slightly so that the other woman also didn't notice anything. The woman returned to his lap, and suddenly the mirror shone again, reflecting only the anguished image of Minji, who was already with tears in her eyes. She was in shock, in a state of denial.
I'm crazy. It's not possible.
Murmured, trying to process what just happened. Quickly, she took her phone to check the message, but there was nothing there. How so no message? She had just seen her boyfriend writing. Confused and disturbed, Minji lay down in bed with the mirror by her side. She spent the rest of the night thinking, trying to talk to the object again, but nothing happened. It showed nothing else. In this way, exhaustion took hold of her, and the poor girl ended up falling asleep. The next morning, Minji was awakened by the sound of her phone. Still dazed, she picked up the device and read her boyfriend's message. Guess what was written?
Sorry, love. I won't be able to leave work today. We won't be able to see each other.
It was exactly as she had seen in the mirror last night. Minji widened her eyes, with the heart beating out as she confirmed her worst fears. She felt as if she was living in a nightmare from which she could not wake up. The reality seemed distorted and cruel, but it was real. The lady realized two things.
First, I wasn't crazy. I really saw that in the mirror.
Concluded, looking at the framed object with a mixture of unbelief and fear. The young woman was walking around in the room.
And if the message arrived now means that what I saw was the future.
Stuttered, with the mind running with countless possibilities. She needed answers. So quickly got dressed and ran to the store where she had bought the mirror. She was hoping to ask the seller about that seemingly magical item. Only that, to her utter despair, when she arrived there, she was taken by a shock.
What? Where is it?
She looked around, confused. There was no shop there, only the place closed with several "for rent" banners. The space where she swore to have entered the night before was completely empty. How was that possible? Minji saw herself increasingly caught in a web of mystery. Without understanding anything, but determined to prove something, she called her boyfriend, talking about the festival they had agreed to go. June answered, saying he was at work and could not go anymore. Obviously, she didn't believe, however couldn't accuse him without real evidence that he was cheating. How could she say that she saw everything in a magic mirror?
What do I do? What do I do?
The girl was distressed. Then she looked at the mirror in the middle of the street, no matter if she seemed crazy or not, and once again said,
I want to see June.
The object shone again, showing a terrifying scene of the future that made the young woman fall on her knees. The man was kissing that woman Minji had seen yesterday, and worse, in the same park where they met. The park was full of beautiful lights and people, as if it were a festival. The lady knew immediately what it meant.
Bastard. He said he couldn't take me to the festival because he was on duty, but he will be with her.
Spoke to herself amid the tears that had already flowed freely. The pain of betrayal struck her like a sharp blade. The feeling of being deceived and disrespected was overwhelming, but along with sadness came determination. Minji decided that she wouldn't let it go unnoticed. She needed to confront June and the other woman, needed the answers that the mirror showed her, and needed justice for the suffering she was going through. She stood there in the street, taking a deep breath, trying to organize her thoughts and chest pain. Knew that whatever was going on, that magical object was the key to finding out the truth. What she saw couldn't be ignored, and even if it was hard to believe. With the decision made, Minji stood up, pressing the mirror against her chest. She would go to the festival, meet June, and no matter how painful it would be, she wouldn't allow him to keep cheating. The next day, knowing that vision would happen at the festival that was going to take place that night, whose event she had wanted to go for months, and her boyfriend said he would think, Minji dressed up all beautiful, and so also with all the fury in her heart she went to the park. A mixture of feelings was boiling inside her, anger, hatred, sadness for the man she thought she loved. Several questions were running through her mind.
Who is that woman? And how long has he been cheating on me? How was I so stupid?
The young woman wasted no time and went straight to the festival. The park was lit with colorful lights, full of people smiling and having fun, contrasting with the storm of emotions inside that poor girl. The more she searched for June and didn't find him, more of her wished to be wrong. She wanted it all to be a mistake. She wanted the visions of the object to be only delusions in her head. But how could she explain, for example, the message that she saw him write? Then suddenly, exactly where she saw in the mirror, there was June kissing that woman. Minji felt a heat rising through her body, an uncontrollable fury. With determined steps, she approached and screamed,
You are really a cretin, June.
The man stopped immediately and jumped, becoming pale with fear at the sight of his girlfriend.
Minji, what are you doing here?
He stammered, not knowing exactly what to say.
You bastard!
She yelled and slapped him in the face. The woman next to June made a strange face and, with an angry expression, asked,
Who are you, girl? And how dare you talk like that to my husband and slap him?
Husband?
This word rang in the head of the girl, who stood still for a while, and with millions of things in her mind that finally began to make sense. He was delaying marrying her because he was already married.
It can't be,
she whispered, feeling the world crumbling around her. June, trying to say something, once again stammered.
Minji, I can explain.
But his wife began to question who she was. And to make the situation worse, believe it or not, 2 children of about 6 years came running, showing their parents the sweets they had bought.
Look, Dad, I got a big one.
Minji was shocked to see those little ones calling June Dad. The poor woman couldn't feel more deceived. Tried to get it together and, not to make a scene, just approached the wife and spoke in her ear so that the children didn't hear, fearing traumatized them. Yes, she had compassion.
Your husband cheated on us both. I was with him for 2 years without knowing that he was married.
Said and just left, leaving that woman shocked, screaming at her husband. Minji came home crying, feeling sick but lighter. It was like she had taken a dead weight off her back and now was free. But what about the mirror? What was that? Days passed and Minji was trying to get over that painful moment. She didn't touch the mirror, didn't want to see June's face anymore. However, she still had doubts about the magical object and in her curiosity said,
I want to see the owner of this object.
Thought that by finding the owner she might have some answer. The item shone again, showing Minji meeting a handsome man in front of the locked shop where the antique store was supposed to be. The clock on her wrist marked 10 o'clock. As expected, at 10 a.m. the next day, the woman was there in front, looking from side to side, with her heart beating fast with expectation. It was when a handsome man approached. He had an elegant posture and a welcoming smile, and later Minji would find out that his name was Seungmin. They started talking, and to her surprise, Seungmin also had a mirror. The man told his story, how he had also seen the same antique shop and bought a mirror for his girlfriend, only to find out later she cheated on him. The man suffered much and in his anguish desired to see the love of his life. This led him to Minji. The owners of the mirrors were themselves, and it was as if the objects had made those two souls, who were with the wrong people, free to finally meet. They walked around the neighborhood, talking about their experiences with mirrors. Each word seemed to bring relief, a mutual understanding of their pains and hopes. Minji felt an instant connection with Seungmin, something she had never felt before. He was kind, understanding, and most importantly, someone who understood the strangeness of her situation. As they walked, they passed again the closed shop. The place now seemed even more mysterious. The origin and reason for both having seen a magic store that actually didn't exist would never be revealed, but one thing was certain. Now, both could finally begin to realize the dream they wanted so much, to find someone to spend the rest of their lives with. After that day, each moment was special, as if fate had conspired to bring them together in a unique and inexplicable way. The mirrors, which once revealed so much, were now just ordinary objects. It seemed that they had fulfilled their purpose, showing to all that we will never know the mysteries that the universe hides, but that everything cooperates so that our lives are adjusted. Minji and Seungmin kept the mirrors as a reminder of the event that brought them together and never needed to use them again to see the future, because together they were ready to build a future just like they expected. And if you liked this story, surely the next video that is appearing on your screen will excite you too. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and activate the notifications bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. A big kiss, and until a next exciting story.